Hey, Bobby Moats here.
Hey, my name is Riley.
Hey everybody, this is Michael and you're listening to Speculo Live.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is episode, what is this, 5?
I have no idea.
6. I think
Yeah.
we're on 6 because I know that we've just published everything on. Hey, we're on Spotify, Robert. We're making it to the big time.
I mean, we've been on Spotify before, but I mean, this is a lot more fun. Actually,
Yeah.
we've had a lot of
Yeah,
fun in
this
the past,
is it.
but
Yeah,
don't go look up our
yeah.
old podcasts.
Yeah, just leave that alone. We'll let that die. We'll let that die on the vine. No, it's awesome how fast this kind of coming together. And you listen to that first episode, and I was like, man, that was awful. But just three of us just riffing on AI and as a whole, like what you can see and what you can expect. And I think that it's necessary and it's relevant. Diving in and listening to so many people that are talking about AI right now, it's so amazing to see so many unique voices out there. There's some that are really great at talking in a large, high level way. There's some that get into the nuance and the nitty gritty. I would advise staying away from that if you're not familiar with the whole thing. I don't feel
That's the
comfortable
sort of
listening
stuff
to
that I
podcasts.
love, but no, yeah.
Yeah, Bobby's into that. I just am more a fan of, grabbing onto things that are applicable today, things that I can literally go, all right, those are great podcasts. Now I'm going to go home, flip over my Mac, do those 3 things, and boom, I'm going to see how it works with my business. So I'm hearing a lot of those conversations right now too. I'm hearing a lot of people that we meet with on a regular basis saying, can you come and teach my office and all of my agents these specific things really simple? I'm going to go speak at a thing in Miami on Friday to some top agents that are just, they just want to know some practical things. And that was a really easy thing for us to learn. You're frozen. Can you hear me?
I'm here.
There you go.
I was just
that's
really still. I was in it.
You were in it. You were just super frozen. And that, I'm excited to do that because I think that's what everybody wants to hear. And it's funny because it doesn't matter if you're doing 1,000 transactions a year or 10 transactions a year. The playing field is literally leveled around AI. So everybody gets to come in intently and sit in the same room and learn together at the same time. Now, what you do with that after is really up to you. And that's a defining moment. Like, what are you going to do next? Right. So, it's been super awesome.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about today? We've obviously always like to cover 3 things, and there's, top 10 things right now that are out there in the real estate conversation world. I'm hearing everything from reading about AI property valuations. I know you've got some insights on that. I think as well, I really think it's cool. And you've done this before, the virtual tours and augmented reality when it comes to AI. I think that's something that would be really interesting. I know you've got a ton of insights about all this stuff. So I think what we should do is just kind of dive in and pick pieces. But, let's talk about AI and the death of traditional leads, this big fear, like leads aren't the same anymore. It's all going to be different. But let's talk about how AI is shifting lead gen from chasing leads into converting leads. Let's talk about that.
Okay. From chasing into converting, I could go down rabbit holes with this. The whole game of lead gen is changing and changing so fast. And if you're not paying attention, then you're going to be missing out. This is not only for real estate, right? This is for everything. We spend a lot of time and effort as real estate agents when generating leads, especially if it's a cold lead. If you're doing open houses, it's not going to be the same. Keep doing those open houses, keep meeting with people. But if you're getting cold leads online, Facebook, whatever that looks like, ultimately, you spend a lot of time talking to people that aren't interested, right? Even if they register on your website, say I want information on something, you spend a lot of time picking up the phone, having conversations, and not actually getting anywhere. And if you have any agents on your team, or you run a team, have agents, or you've been doing this yourself at a high level, you realize that, your agents will come back to you and say, the leads are crap, right? That happens all the time. And where this is ultimately going is this is why people are flocking to services like Zillow, OpCity, things like that. They're looking for lower funnel. Everybody wants lower funnel, and the way that you get to lower funnel is through more conversations, more nurturing, more qualification. And you can do that yourself, right? Through hundreds and hundreds of leads to get down to the few that are actually going to close and transact with you. Or you can pay for leverage in your life to be able to do that, whether it's ISAs for your real estate team, other agents, whatever that looks like. But ultimately, they're going to tell you, again, the leads are crap. And so it's been an issue for a long time. And I think one of the biggest things that AI is going to do, which we're diving very deep in on the Speculo AI side, but I think this is going to be everywhere here pretty soon, is how do you create leverage that with AI that moves leads further down that funnel? So when they're ready to buy or sell real estate or transact, all they do is raise their hand and you connect with them right there. You're the first person in front of them. And I think that that's, the traditional lead, if you were to define that, it is, man, I got a hand raiser on Facebook that's interested in my house. I need to call them right now, within 5 seconds. That's the traditional lead for everything, right? For every industry, especially since the age of the AI, right? Am I wrong with there? Like that's what we're defining as traditional lead. So those hand raisers that we need to call within 5 seconds because that increases our odds of actually converting them. And that's gonna that lead will go away because the leads suck and AI is gonna make it better. And make it better because it's moving those leads further and further down the funnel, which
Yeah.
traditionally we pay people like Zillow for that sort of thing, but it is going to change.
Yeah. I mean, now with Zillow, like what's interesting too is like what you're seeing with Zillow impacting what listings they're showing you. Like there's part of you when you look at it from an objective mindset of like trying to create, a desire not to allow one platform to have exclusivity or, amongst listings or whatever that is, the battle
Yeah.
between them and Compass. And I think that the funny thing is not losing the forest for the trees that having a platform dictate how you can do your business is never a good thing. You never want.
So this is going to get worse and worse and worse. Like, so the ultimate goal of where AI is going to go, and this is probably going to happen with Google pretty fast, is you're going to search for things like search for property, search for products, whatever it is. And instead of it being a search engine where we're sifting through all the different things that we want access to, the AI is going to have a little bit of insight into us, kind of like
Yeah,
Facebook does when you browse and it shows you things on your feed that you like. It's going to know the things you like, the things you dislike. It's going to know the DNA of who you are and bubble up properties or bubble up products that fit those needs. And so one thing where where advertising is going to go is how do you get into a space where AI is recommending you or your product over everything else? And I fully expect platforms like Google and maybe Facebook to charge for that. They're
yeah,
not going to give options. It's
no,
going to be the AI is going to give one, two, or three.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely a consistent theme amongst the juggernauts of the tech industry, right? Like you see it with Salesforce too. Like I talk about that all the time. The thing about Salesforce when they were taking market share, the strategy, a lot of it was give everything away for free at the beginning and then get people hooked on every single piece of your platform so that it's like oxygen they need it to breathe. And then
Yeah.
when that first year comes up and all the free stuff is no longer free, you get the bill in the mail, the sticker shock is out of control. But the reality is you now need these things to run your business, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really important that it's great to be able to utilize AI and take control of your own tech stack, so to speak, so that you're not so reliant on these other pieces of the puzzle, right? And I think that that's a great thing that while we are concerned about the replacing of the agent, the black hole, like we talked about last week, of like I don't know what it is. At the very least, starting to use it to take control of your own lead gen, your lead volume, engaging with your sphere, like whatever it may be. I think that that's a super crucial point. And I love that you talk
The,
about it from a Zillow and OpCity perspective, because that's like the most relevant, applicable thing that you can do today, right? Is like getting away from that. What does that strategy look like? It should incorporate AI.
the most important thing is how do you stay in relationship with the people in your database,
Hmm.
period.
Hmm.
Because this will get to a place. It will get to a place where I can go on Google, say, hey, Google already knows the properties I've looked for. And I say Google because Google, has all the information. Or we can say Zillow, whatever. You know what I like? Set me up with some properties to go see houses, like set me up with a property tour for the houses that I like. I'm free from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow. And what's going to happen is the AI is going to go out there. It's going to schedule the showings. It's going to find the agent, and you're just going to show up and do the thing. And
Hmm.
so, for you not to get replaced by the agents that are just going to be empowering that technology, empowering that AI, right, or enabling that to be better, you have to be in front of your clients so they don't go that direction.
Yeah.
They are going to relationship first,
Yeah.
that's empowered by tech,
Yeah.
not tech first, that's empowered by agents,
Yeah.
right? AI enabled agents versus agent enabled AI.
Yeah.
So like that's the goal of everything that we're doing. And I know, I talk to agents like, oh, you're doing AI. That's, going to replace the agent. I was like, no, our goal, or it's going to take relationship out of this conversation. Make no mistake. Our goal is to help empower your relationships with your database, not replace them. And we think, actually, I know for a fact that you're not communicating with your database without AI. So why would AI replace you in any way, shape, or form, and not just create deeper connection.
Yeah, that's right. And that's so when we talk about, the death of the traditional lead
Mhm.
and how AI is analyzing the behavior to tell you when somebody is ready to buy or sell, right? Like that's something that is a perfect example of the scalable way of becoming an AI enabled agent. Because look, even if you're an exceptionally OCD, on top of everything professional, and you say you scale your team, even just from a perspective of administrative support, maybe you have a virtual assistant or whatever it may be. If you have a database that's healthy, say in the 5,000 range, there's absolutely no way you're going to be able to know every single piece of that puzzle of all 5,000 of those agents without some sort of support or tool or technology. Now, there's a cost that comes with that. But I think that when you have AI, it's a scalable cost, right? Keep your virtual assistant if you want, because that can be the second follow up for an action item or step. But I think, having that AI go and understand the behavioral patterns of your leads to
Mhm.
then identify hand raisers for you to then not only just call and go, hi, I'm ABC agent and I'm ready to list, or are you ready to list, or are you ready to buy? Like something told me that you are, but understanding the dialogue around that to say, hey, Bobby, Brian is ready to put his house on the market. And here's how we know that based on the average sum of all the information you already know and what you've taught us to identify somebody to putting their house on the market. This is a perfect candidate. And we've prepared them for you. We've reached out to them with the dialogue you gave us around identifying a hand raiser in this space. And now we believe this to be the highest opportunity for you to convert. Go ahead and do your thing, right?
Yeah.
Literally bring it to you in a box with a bow on it.
Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely.
So how are tools like Speculo getting agents to actual appointments? Let's talk about that.
Well, I also want to, we also, before we jump into that, we also do talk about there is a more than just AI, the death of traditional lead. Like
Mm,
any of you that are buying lists, that will go away, right? There was this whole TCPA one-to-one conversation thing that needed to happen where you generate leads for yourself or generate leads that are advertised or that you're calling or connecting with have to be generated by your brand. That is a major shift away from traditional lead gen also, and that's something that any agents that are listening to this have to be aware of, that you need to stop buying lists. You need to stop going out there and cold calling everybody and their mother, and just start generating your own business with your own
yeah.
brand. So
Love
I
that. Yeah, I would say that, if you want to put a as a parable maybe, but lists aren't winning,
yeah.
listings are, right? That's what means winning, right? Buying lists to then say, oh, I've got a database of 500,000 people or whatever it may be, that's not winning. Listings are winning. I hear this all the time with like these
I
these
feel like we
people. Yeah, lists aren't winning. Listings are winning. Yeah, listings are winning. And I think the reason I say that is how many years have we gone by in an industry where you see somebody on stage and you're like, and they get put on this pedestal that they're exceptional and they've got this huge database. And I always sit there and go, yes, but what do you know about your database? And how are you converting that database into closed transactions, right? Listings are winning. Lists are not winning. You are buying a list, so are 10 other agents, right? We just
yeah.
had this happen recently where we were doing a data analysis, because we always go through our contact database to understand dupes and clean up data and whatever else. And we did this recently where we found that a new agent that was in our ecosystem had some of the leads that we had in our database on their list. And we thought our data was clean, but that's just an example, right? This is a
Yeah.
bunch of Z buyer things that we had from years ago, and they were in our ecosystem. But it was like just that aha moment of even more so, lists aren't winning, listings are winning, right? So what are you doing to engage with your database on a fluid basis to know who your buyers and sellers are, know what their intent is, and then use that to convert and get them to your agents to actually get appointments done and listings on the market or buyers into new home.
Right.
Soapbox done. Boom. Start winning, listings are. I'm gonna put that. Yeah, we're gonna get Ravy to put that on a shirt. So let's talk about something else here. So topic 2: AI and the future of the real estate experience. So why the home search and client journey will look completely different in the next 2 years. Let's talk about personal buyer journeys powered by AI, right? So one of the things that's a current topic is the constant conversation around visuals for homes, right? So virtual tours, augmented reality, whatever, getting that excitement wow factor in a traditional sense is like, well, let me get you on the MLS. Let's find the neighborhoods you want to look for. And then let's start to get those in your inbox, right? Create the FOMO, I'm missing out. Well, you've done this recently, and I thought it was super cool with a listing that you guys had, a few listings you guys had, where you were using AI to feature the property and get people excited for future potential buyers. Now, if I'm a buyer and I saw some of these videos, I would be like blown away. So tell me what you did and what's the tool you used to really showcase this. And Bobby will kind of get into what it is, what it does, and then how the wow factor came in for me.
So I have a lot of different opinions on all this too, and also like a lot of background
Sure.
knowledge on this from the past when we were creating this. But what Michael is talking about is, and there was no tool that did this. I built this myself.
It sets you up for that.
You did. Now people are going to start calling me and be
Yeah,
like,
they're
"I
gonna be like,
want
what did
this.
you
I want to see
do?
this." I'm going to be like, "No." So one thing that AI is able to do is you can take an image. So you can take any of your listing images, because getting listing pictures done is a lot cheaper than getting listing videos done. And this is going to grow in advance as AI scales and gets to new levels of capabilities. But right now, you can take any image from AI, right? And I could, through specific modeling, and there's a bunch of different tools that you can put together to, to just understand this. I think the name of the platform was Runway AI, which was just like kind of the base, um, the base of it. But with that AI, you're able to take an image and animate it. So what does that mean? That means you can take a listing image just of a front of a house and you can make a flyover. Now, one thing to be careful with something like this is it could make up, right? If
Yeah,
you're
because
flying out from a house, it
yeah.
could
So
make a big grand entry when it's not really a grand entry.
yeah, which was super cool. Like I thought it was so neat because you did it looked like a drone footage from above the house, and that the panning was just panning back, and it showed this expansive landscape of this house, and I was just like, holy cow, what a great shot! And then you pause it, and you're like, but look at this, it's added like a staircase and all
Yeah.
these little features that you don't want to
That
get
would-
too crazy with it, but
no.
when it came to the features of the home inside the home, the
Mhm.
living room, etc., these were actual parts of the home. It didn't skip
Yeah.
any steps. It kept all the details in, and it would pan across. You
Yeah.
could see like it was unbelievably well done. You add music to it. It looked really great.
And that music too, that music was generated by AI also. But the cool part about it is, we have the capability to create really high quality videos and AI powered videos that understand a space just from a picture and can create a flying effect. And as long as you don't make them crazy, you're going to be, they're going to work really, really well. One of the things that is going to, that's probably going to come down the pipe is the ability to tie pictures together,
Mm,
which will be really cool, or to just take a quick video through a house and allowing you to make that an interactive fly through. Similar to how in the past we had to, pay for expensive products like Matterport, stuff like that,
yeah,
where you have to set up
exactly.
photos in every single room and then like you click through it. It's going to get to a place where I could just pull it up on my computer and walk through it like it's a video game.
Yeah,
And that will happen very, very quickly and is going to make the experience tremendous for viewing homes. Now, as agents, and I've seen all the data around this, we may not like that as much, even though your buyers are going to want to do it, because it is proven that the more information buyers have about homes before they go out
right.
can prevent them from going to see it. They are
Yeah,
making more logical decisions based on the images that they're seeing. We are in the business of emotional decisions a lot of times, because you need to get into that house and fall in love with it and feel it and stuff like that. So that was a reason why we don't use it all the time, but it will get to a place where buyers are going to demand it, and so sellers are going to have to put it on there. But just understand, it may reduce foot traffic, but that may be a good thing because you may be reducing foot traffic that shouldn't have been there in the first place.
yeah, yeah. We talk about this. So I love that. We talk about this all the time about using AI to lower your P and L and increase your profitability, right? From a business perspective, when we talk about AI enabled leader, and you mentioned Matterport, another platform that look everyone was super excited at the beginning, and people were using it all over the place, and then now to utilize Matterport, it's not exactly cheap all the time. So it's one of those things where yes, and so yes, use AI for this feature. Utilize it to enhance the photos of your property and maybe create that pano video style feed. And now you don't necessarily have to have that high cost of a videographer and whatever else. And let's be honest, with your listing presentations, it's a great value add to any one of your potential clients to show them some of your past listings. And people love to see and take great pride in their homes when they're putting them on the market. And they love to see really professional photography that can go the extra mile to showcase. Now, while you may not get 150 people, you may get 10 people that loves the photos and the engagement that you're showing and show up. And now you've got a multiple offer situation because of the way you showcase the home, right? Now, if you did that, like with our team, we do just utilize the iPhone. And there's actually a little hack if you don't do this already and you're taking videos with your iPhone at your listings. Turn your phone upside down. It's a hack that I saw from some agents that do this at a high level with the social media influencer game, that if you actually turn it upside down, the camera angle changes and it actually looks very professional and super awesome. So if you have an iPhone and you're taking videos with your team or whatever it may be at your listings, turn your phone upside down and use your camera upside down. But where I'm going with that is just utilize it from a perspective of showcasing and adding value, right? And Bobby's right. Don't do it for the entire house, but take the features that you love the most about the house and use it for that. Maybe it's the kitchen, maybe it's the bedroom, maybe they've got an incredible like luxury space outside that you just want to use that for, or an expansive backyard. Do that thing, because I think then it just adds a real cool extra value that comes at no cost. You don't have to hire a videographer to do that, and you can keep that cost low and potentially increase your profit through a multiple offer situation to get over asked when you do those sort of things. So super cool idea. I think that's great. What else do you think you're going to see when it comes to like virtual tours and augmented reality that you're looking at from an AI perspective?
From an AI perspective, obviously you're going to you're still going to get into the virtual reality space, augmented reality space, where you can walk through properties without having to go walk through properties. This can be really tremendous, especially if you're like out of state. But it's the same thing with like people want to go in and like touch and feel things, and then they buy the same thing on Amazon. Like people want to be in there, so it's gonna be hard to get around that. I think one of the big ways that you could is through some of the advancements in wearable AI, be able to create AI what do you call these? When you go through a museum and it talks about the art as you're
Yeah,
walking
just
through.
like a virtual tour. Oh yeah, like an audio tour. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so to be able to have that while you're walking through a house, like, here, put these glasses on, and we'll tell you about all the things, so you don't have any questions. That's gonna be big too, I think. And I think low hanging fruit. We used to like put little post-it notes up on rooms or walls or something, or tell stories and books, so that people fall in love with the home. If you can do some audio tours through the house from the
Mm-hmm.
perspective of the seller, it's going to do wonders for people that actually walk into that home. We just sold a personal home recently, and we did that. We didn't actually do that specifically with the AI walkthrough tour, but we happened to be there when the buyer came to the house, and we talked about why we loved the home, and I think it sold them right there, and they were ready to buy the place. So I think that that's
Yeah.
something that's going to be big from a sales perspective.
Yeah, I mean, creating visualization, right? I mean, you see it with the Meta platform and on the virtual headsets where you're just blown away by putting those darn things on. You create a new world, creating that visibility for a potential
Yeah.
buyer to see themselves and their families sitting in that home and enjoying themselves in the capacity that you've outlined for them is such a cool way to use it. Well, good, man. So last one I want to touch on here with regards to the future of the real estate experience with AI driven CMAs and home valuation tools. What are your thoughts on that?
I think so right now we have Zillow, right? That consumers go to by default to get home valuations. Those are a dime a dozen at this point, right? All the secret algorithms that price homes.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you talk to any agent, we all have our own preferred method of valuing houses. And right now you can do this. You can get a platform like Claude, set up a home value project that has all your instructions of how you create CMAs inside of that project knowledge base, right? And then all you do is you copy and you paste the like quick CMA or cloud CMA or whatever it is into the new chat box,
Hmm.
and say, hey, I need a CMA on this based on my criteria for valuations in my specific market in my specific neighborhood. And you're going to get much more valuations at that point, because you can do analytics so fast, and then even go in and it could give you something, be like, okay, that's a little bit high, forgot to account for the pool, or the fence, it needs a new fence here or whatever, and even give it pictures, right?
Yeah,
And you can even throw in pictures, and it can adjust based on that, which we all do, um, like innately. Like we all do that as real estate. If you're a good real estate agent, you do that automatically. You adjust based on those little things, and then
yeah,
give a comprehensive report back to your client. This sort of thing is going to speed it up for us to be able to go out there and not only give good CMAs for where the market is now, but for where the market is going. So you
Yeah.
could even get to a place where, because you have all the stats, you know the projections, you know all that, say, okay, if we list your Mr. and Miss Seller, if we list your house today, here's what we can list it for. If we list it in 3 months, here's what we can list it for. But I know you said you want to list it next year. Here's what we can list it for then. And here's why listing it now is going to get you more money in the long term than if you list it later.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Look, the goal when you're doing your lead gen should be that you should be getting a chance to get in front of these people, right? Let me come by and take a look at your property and do an assessment, or I'd love to get, get some eyes on what you're talking about and learn why the home valuation may not be, in your ideal price range. Let's look at what you've done for improvements and what your customizations are, so we can really talk, what do you want to get out of this, right? And you mentioned using Claude. So a lot of people may not be familiar with Claude, right? When you think about AI, the first thing that comes to mind, just based on their marketing and the fact that they're the first in the game, is ChatGPT, right? Open AI. That's the one when we get in front of stages and rooms, and we talk about it as a great starter point. But what's Claude? Tell me about Claude.
Yeah, Claude is Anthropic's AI. I like Claude a lot because not only for the project standpoint, and I can actually pull this up here if we want to show it. Well, this is going to be a podcast. We don't have video. It's fine. Claude allows you to not only create projects, right? And set those up where you can give it a knowledge base that you work off of every single time. But it also allows you to define your writing style or that you want it to output in. So, for example, I was playing around creating newsletters for people that live in Southeast Texas, where my wife's from. And I said, I want all the prompts to be output in the style of a bayou storyteller. Sorry, all that.
Somebody straight out of the bayou. Yeah, I get it. I got you. Keep going.
And it is really, really tough to read. But it does it perfectly. So yeah, that's one of the things I really love about what Claude can do is not only can you take it out of its element and giving you those standard outputs that you get from AI, where you feel it and you like that's kind of AI-ish, be more in your style, and then also set up projects to where you can work on specific things over and over and over again, and it's always going to go back to the knowledge you want it to have. It's almost like setting up GPTs in Chat GPT, except a little bit easier. And then you can also connect it directly into your Gmail and your Google Docs so it can reference information that you may have there. It also doesn't hurt that it's also, and people probably don't realize this, but Claude is actually used more than OpenAI's ChatGPT.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so interesting to me.
Where you're probably seeing that is the people that are using AI professionally to help them get things done and create leverage in their life. They're using Claude more often than ChatGPT because some of their models, especially Claude 3.7, is much more powerful than some of the top models out there across the board. Right? There's very few that compete with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. It's funny. So there's the platforms that you typically see, and I just saw this visual around what percentage of the market do these platforms represent. So basically, of all the users of the AI platforms that are out there, what percentage of the total population is using which platforms? And so, OpenAI was 16% of the total population. Claude was 18%. Do you know what the number one AI platform was? Llama.
I do.
Yeah. And Llama is the one that's used by Meta, Facebook. And you made a great point earlier that the reason why is because they're using it across all their users, which is why their usage is so high, right? People are just engaging with it because they're on Facebook all the time or in their Instagram ecosystem, and they're using the Llama platform as their AI search tool or whatever it may be, or write me this post or whatever it may be. So when you really think about people that are using it outside of those social ecosystems, you have Claude, you have OpenAI, and then what was interesting is one called Mistral AI, Mistral, came in at 16%. So they're the same as ChatGPT right now from a market share perspective.
And I haven't messed with that one at all. I
Yeah.
know that there's a few that are open source, and I believe that Mistral is one of the open source ones that people are able to download.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Super interesting stuff.
Yeah,
I
the AIs are getting to a place where you can actually get them on your computer. You have to have a pretty powerful computer to be able to do that, but you can do that. So
yeah. Well, good. Let's get into the third topic. Here's the thing about AI and ethics, automation, and how it's giving an advantage to agents. Is AI taking over real estate, or is it actually helping agents take over more market share? So I think that's the shift in the mindset, right? You're now able to get to more leads and more conversations on a daily basis. You're now able to ideally take more listings and find more buyers because of AI. That would be my rebuttal to those who think that it's taking over real estate. I think it's being included into real estate, and I think the smart agents are using it to take more market share from those who are not. So let's talk about like what is ethical and what's not when using AI to engage with leads.
Don't ever. So this is there's a gray line. Obviously, I don't think you should ever try and replace your own voice with AI voice. Yes, there is. AI can help you to craft your message, right? So you have something you want to say, and it will craft it, right, or help you to craft that. Then inspect what it says, obviously, before you send it. I think that there's also people out there that are trying to use AI to trick people into
Yeah,
thinking it's not AI. I wouldn't go down that route because people will abandon you if they ever find out that they're being duped in any way, shape, or form. So if you're using AI to
that's a
communicate,
great point.
make sure that AI is declaring itself
Mhm.
as AI. I think that's very important, and it's going to be more important. I assume that there's going to be laws that are put in place that are going to prevent you from using anything to connect with consumers that doesn't declare itself as AI before AI gets a chance to talk to people. And we're doing everything around that to prepare for that. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that are using it to say, oh, I can just clone my voice and go and say all the things and have all the conversations, and that I think that that's really unethical, because you also don't know what that's going to say.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Why, automating everything doesn't build trust. I think that that's a key factor, right? I mean, always keep that human component involved. Don't automate your entire business. I think it's great to automate those things that make you scalable, but don't automate yourself, right? I think that's really
Yeah.
what you're getting at. Yeah, that makes sense. But do automate because we have a voice technology with our AI platform that works exceptionally well. Our digital assistant talks and gives a very straightforward. Here's the deal. I am a digital assistant. I am a digital assistant with the Rise team,
Mhm.
and it introduces itself as such. It's incredible the amount of people that are still like, yeah, absolutely, let's talk. Where do you want to lead me? So talk to me about like why you shouldn't automate everything unless you do what is that thing? Keeping yourself involved, teaching it the cultural is your business. What is that thing that you should make sure that you keep incorporated into it?
I think you should look at, as a human, what is your highest and best use? What is your highest and best use in creating relationships with people? Right? Because this is a relationship game, and understand what that is. Your highest and best use in creating relationships is getting voice to voice, face to face, personal with people as much as possible. Period. And we've gotten away from that over the long term. So whatever you can do to get you more face to face, voice to voice with the people in your world, whatever sort of leverage you can create that gets you closer to that, to spend more time doing that, not sitting in the background, hiding, letting AI do everything for you, but what can you implement in your life around AI that's going to create a better experience for your clients and consumers, and then ultimately get you more face to face conversations. That's what you should use AI for. And
Yeah.
never try to replace that face to face, voice to voice, where it's supposed to be you, with an AI. AI can be there to invite to events, to provide value offerings,
Hmm.
to be the first to contact, to make sure to see if they're ready to talk with you, things like that. But same thing with any agent or any human that you ever hire in your business, period. But at the end of the day, your relationship and your connection is the most important. So whatever can drive to that is what you should use AI for.
Yeah. So now let's talk about what high performing teams are doing differently with their automation with AI. What are we seeing consistently? I know what I'm seeing, but tell me what you're seeing as you're kind of traveling around talking about these things on all these stages.
I mean, it is very new, right, to a lot of people. I see a lot of high performing teams that just have been high performing for a long time that haven't jumped on board yet, but they are the ones that are thriving and moving forward, see it as the future. and they see where it's going, and they're committing the time and effort to dive into it to understand where that's going to take their business, and how do they pivot their business in a way that they're going to be able to leverage that at the highest levels. So I think that that's the biggest thing right now, period, is diving into the understanding of what AI is going to do for your business and how you form your business around AI, and then leveraging tools that are going to make it easy for you to deploy it inside of your business, not going out there and trying to build all the things yourself like I did. But
Yeah, but
going,
look, you also came in at an early adopter phase, right?
yeah, it was a lot earlier than I jumped into this.
Yeah, but you think about the bell curve of an adoption model, you were very on the early phase of that. And I think a part of that is the excitement factor of, well, what does this one do? What does this one do? What does this one do? And now we're further along in that curve where you're like, okay, I know what's real, what's not, what's trash, what's not.
Hmm.
You like to code, you like to go in and build out those models that allow for, the still imagery to become a video panning opportunity.
Yeah.
You like to do that in the back end of things. But I think you're right. Like, high performing teams are implementing these things at a high level and going, okay, AI is here. Let's adopt it. And how do we adopt it? And let's look at our model and find out what's culturally aligned with who we are as a team, and how do we change it, right? How do we not change the culture, but how do we include AI to make us better? Yeah. I think one of the things I'm seeing right now is, top teams are putting it in and the leaders are staying in as they're implementing it, right? I think a big mistake that I'm seeing, and it doesn't matter if you've got 40 people on your team or 50 people on your team, don't make the mistake that AI is going to replace you as a leader in your leadership. Right. And what I mean by that is, don't be a leader that puts this tool or a tool into your ecosystem and then you back away and go, hey guys, here's a new AI tool, throw it in the middle of the room like it's an Xbox and say, have fun. I'll see you in 4 hours. Because I'll tell you what, the amount of calls that we've had with agents that are like, I don't know how to work this thing. Where do I start? And we managed to work through that with so many teams, and now we've got a ton of champions that are using it the right way. But as a leader, I cannot say this enough. Do not implement AI and back away and hope that your leaders will figure it out. If you saw an opportunity to streamline your business and make it scalable, and you felt like it was going to better your team, stay for the betterment. Watch the betterment happen. Don't leave it to your team to figure out what that betterment is. They can't read your mind. They don't know where your excitement value came. They probably weren't in the room when you first saw it on stage or at some top leader panel. Stay in and learn it. Get on the ground level and do the exact same thing. Because, I like to use this example. It's from a Friends episode where Phoebe was talking to Ross about, you used to think that the atom was the smallest thing in the world until you cracked it open and a bunch of crazy crap flew out. Be there as a leader that cracks open the atom with everybody, and the excitement factor is there about all the things you can do, that because as a leader, you see your business differently than your agents probably do. And so when that atom gets split, now you get the chance to then go, I see 4 other opportunities from this, just from the way this one agent engaged with it. If you're not in there to see it, you can't help fix the potential things that come out. And it will poke holes in the cracks, and show you the cracks in your business. It will do that. And you need to be there to help repair them. You can't leave that in the hands of your agents. So that's the one thing I will say. Top teams are adopting the AI, and the biggest mistake I'm seeing them make is that these leaders are stepping away and giving it to giving it to the decision makers or the agents on their teams, and just praying that it works, hedging their bets. And I think that's a grave mistake, because what it's going to do is cause you to go back to the drawing board, and you're going to just be lost in 6 to 8 months with spending all that money. So stick in it, stay in it, embrace it. If you're truly a believer that it's going to change your business, then do the things that need to happen to make it happen.
Amen.
Awesome. All right, man. Good episode. I'm good. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on the Speculo Live podcast. We are very grateful for your support, as always. If you or someone that you know is interested to just get a consultation on how they're using AI in their real estate business, do not hesitate to hit us up through one of the links in our profile, or you can feel free to DM us on any one of the social channels. Stay tuned for more episodes, and make sure to like and subscribe to make sure that you get notified when our next podcast episode comes up. Thanks, guys.